Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, look up in the sky. It's a bird, it's a plane. It's me, the Einstein Wall Street, here from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, the greatest financial institution in the world, the ceiling. The floor, let's go. Boom. Now, worst day since October 10th. Let's look at that. From the day trading point of view, it's a spectacular trend trade. Unfortunately, it's one of those on the red side and on the downside. The S&P down 234, actually closed down 220 and is continuing to sort of get lambasted. 1.3 billion on the tape, 3-1, almost more, down volume versus up volume. Transport's actually up a little, probably because we're getting a little reprieve on the oil side, down to $93. But you know what? Probably the worst day in tech we've seen all year, right? And the VIX up, wow, VIX up 30%, and that is fear in the marketplace. So let's talk. Why did this happen? If you remember a couple of days ago, I talked about the roller coaster that this week was, and that we were hitting record high day after day, you know, with Marvell being called out by Jensen Huang and up $60, and the earnings calls that were just spectacular with good guidance and everything going forward, and that stocks were not up $2, $3, $4, which is a normal thing with earnings, but up $50 and $60. And some of these names are up 40, 50, and 60% over the last couple of months. I mean, you know, from SanDisk to Micron to whatever. And then at one point, that's got to stop. That's got to end, because, you know, it just gets a little bit, or everybody gets a little bit over their skis, and everybody looks around and goes 6,300 to 7,300 in the S&P, Dow 46,000 to 51,000. Like, you know, I know that, you know, the war will be over and this market will probably go higher, but at what point do I take a little bit of this off the table? Right? Because look, anything can happen. And today was the example of where anything can happen. But what I brought up after we saw what happened on Thursday, was it third? No, it was Wednesday. We had the sell-off, and it was like, okay, maybe we got some profit taking. People are taking a little bit off the table. And I thought that was what it was going to be, right? We saw Broadcom earnings that were really disappointing. Down $64, 18%, Micron. So they started really selling the chips and buying the software, because those were the names that, you know, were in this sort of contango there, right? And software had been down, you know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, like 30, 40, 50 cents on the dollar, right? So then we had yesterday, which was, you know, Dow up 1,000, Goldman Sachs, financial leading every the pack, and S&P starting in the red and ending up in the green. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I was wrong, but this was what today was. It was a continuation of that selling. People, look, once you start this cascade, and you start it with names like Broadcom and Micron and that whole sector, and tech getting knocked down, then you know what? Massive margin calls. Crypto, a Bitcoin down, breaking down below 60,000. I mean, you're seeing this careening off of a cliff, right? One day does not make a market. Down 30 to 35 is just, look, it's not as bad as it seems, because the inflated valuation of these names, like I said, up 40, 50, 60% in dollars at the same time is taking things to this deep level of frothiness. And go Knicks, deep level of frothiness, and so that's a big deal. All that being said, today was really a follow through on that. Tech got basted, you know, VIX obviously got that's huge. So once you get to these levels, that's definite fear in the marketplace, and that's kind of a big deal. And so let's close it out. Let's see what happens on Monday. Problem is, and I've said this to you before, when you close at the lows on a Friday, and they made a couple attempts at sort of bottom feeding on the end, and Mr. Trump came in and said, you know what? You know, everything's great in Iran. Everything's going to be good. I don't understand why the market's so bad. And we did have a nice little pop. It didn't last. They closed them at the low, and they're continuing to sell lower. That doesn't bode well for Monday. We'll see what happens going forward. I'm the Einstein of Wall Street. I got to get out of here. I'm taking a 2-day breather. Have a great day. Go Knicks!